Hi, I'm Rue.
Hi, I'm Janelle, and welcome to episode 12 of Cocktails and Compliance. We are finally back in the studio. We've been a lot of places. We've been to Nama, we've been to Optech, you went to WIDA. I'm
Man,
trying to
we've
remember
been
what else.
so
We've
many
been everywhere.
places since we've been in the studio. I miss the studio.
I miss the studio too.
It's a lot of fun to have panels at live events, but it's also just fun to be in the studio together.
It is fun. I miss it. As you can see, we are coordinated again,
Matching.
matching. We're matchy. Um, but also we're doing something a little bit different this time. So we had an internal request. So can I shout them out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to shout out Dan Mistero, our principal UX designer. We've done a couple of cocktail mixing events in the office at Resman. And Dan said, I don't understand why you guys just drink the cocktails on your podcast. Why don't you actually make them live? Because it's freaking funny to watch you two mix a drink. So
Yeah, so what she didn't say is when we have cocktail events at work, we're always the bartenders. And then somebody today who shall remain nameless suggested we could just have a mocktail. And I'm like,
that's
no, it's
rude.
cocktails, not mocktails.
I don't think we can be friends with him anymore. I don't even know who that person is.
I know.
Was
I
they
don't either. He
That was
somebody
unexpected
that
from
like
that person.
slipped into my boss's body, but it is not him talking like that.
I don't even know what to say to that. It's so wrong. I'm gonna give him some crap about that because he also is a bourbon fan, so he should have appreciated this more
That
than
he doesn't. I
anybody.
didn't tell him what it was. It's
Oh, he's gonna be
yeah.
so
I haven't
jealous when
told
he
anybody
watches
what
this.
it is for sure.
Okay. So, in addition to all of her other skills, Rue has amazing skills searching TikTok, and she likes to send me recipes, mostly like cocktail recipes. So, Rue sent me this, I don't know, a few weeks ago because we both like old fashions. We're big bourbon fans. Um, Bonus when we get to go to Kentucky for events
Yes, for
because
sure.
we make good use of that. Um, but this is called the Mr. Brown.
Also, let me take a step back. I feel kind of like a bourbon toddler because I'm just learning about bourbon. This is I'm learning so much more, but I've only been drinking bourbon drinks for about a year.
That's okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
We accept you into the tribe.
That's awesome.
Um, okay. So this is a Mr. Brown. It is a riff on a revolver. I don't even know that I've had a revolver, so maybe I'm a toddler too. I don't know. I just like a straight up old fashioned. But this one, given that it's finally a little chilly in Dallas, not so much today, but the last few days got a little chillier. So we are going to make a Mr. Brown. So we are going to start with a dash of our bitters.
Just a dash.
Dash. We need a bar spoon, which we don't have, so we're real good at eyeballing stuff. So a bar spoon of vanilla syrup, which Rue made last night.
Is this per drink or
Yeah, per drink. So I'm
yeah.
doubling up.
Okay.
See, that's why I put like more than one dash.
Okay. Just checking.
That
Gotta
feels
keep
like
her
a bar
checked.
spoon.
That feels like a lot.
I needed 2 bar spoons.
Yeah, you're
That
good.
looks good.
You're fine.
Okay. Then we need 3/4 of an ounce of coffee liqueur, but since I'm doubling, ounce and a half. Also, while I'm pouring, you can talk about whatever fabulous coffee liqueur we just purchased.
So we just got this, I think it's called El Granita.
I was talking about the special one that's still in the car.
Oh, that's not coffee liqueur, it's chocolate.
Oh, that's right. My
So
bad. Ignore what I said.
there is this fabulous cordial that is called Liquor 43, and it is a product of Mexico, and it is made with 43 flavors and spices, and it's really, really good. And so when I was searching for the coffee liqueur, somehow I came upon that Liquor 43 now has chocolate. So I did have to order some Liquor 43 chocolate liqueur. So we'll let you know how that goes too, but it's not part of our cocktail today.
No, I'm not even drinking. I'm already mixing up coffee and chocolate. Kind of scary. Oh well. Okay, so that was 3/4 an ounce of coffee liqueur, but again, we doubled. And then for the star of the show, 2 ounces of bourbon. I'm using Basil Hayden. You can see this isn't my first time to use a bottle of Basil
How are
Hayden.
we already sticky?
So I don't know. We'll clean up after. 2 ounces of bourbon, but again, I'm doubling. So 2 ounces for Rue, 2 ounces for me. and a splash to grow on. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty.
Everybody needs a splash to grow on.
So we have some ice in our shaker because we want this to be nice and chilled. So brace yourself for like one of the happiest noises. Like next to a champagne pop,
Exactly.
this is pretty darn good. I don't want to shake too vigorously because I need to make sure this thing's on good. So
Shake it off. Shake it off. Now I'm Taylor Swift.
now you're a Swiftie. Okay. We just went from bourbon to Swiftie. Okay. But this got nice and cold. You can see that. Now it says to serve it with an orange twist. So Rue, being the amazing cocktail prep person that she is,
The sous chef.
has already twisted. She has run the twist around the edge of the glass. Ooh, it smells really good.
Does it smell good?
Think you're gonna like it.
Ooh.
Pretty. Kind of looks like iced tea. We should tell people we just had iced tea.
We should.
Tell your mocktail person we had iced tea. He'll never know the difference.
He won't. He'll never know.
Except he knows us, so he's like,
That's right. True story.
he's gonna be like, I don't think so. Get every little
I
last
got
drop
more
of
than
goodness.
she did.
That's okay. I'm driving. So, alrighty. Let's see what we think of the Mr. Brown.
Uh,
Cheers, Rue. I was smelling it.
Okay.
Cheers, Rue.
Cheers. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
have that more than once.
That's
Okay.
really good. Y'all are
That's
gonna need to try
fantastic.
that and see. We gave you the recipe, so
You may press pause and make your own. Okay, and we're back. So, as I said, we've been a lot of places, talked to a lot of people, a lot of things going on in the industry.
ooh, a lot of
Um,
things.
Yeah, so many things. I didn't even know what today's drinking game should be. We'll play it by ear.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. All right, Rue. What's our favorite thing to talk about?
Tracks 203A.
Yay. So Trax and Hotma.
Oh, I left out HOTMA, but
No, it's okay. Hotma's the bonus thing to talk about.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of HOTMA'd out.
We're I think everybody's hotma'd out and it's not even here. However, we thought it was gonna be here, but as we always tell you, we're like, yeah, we think so, but let's see what happens.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. So let's run through like a quick timeline of what's sort of happened this year with Hotma. So the Trax working group got together, had a lot of conversations, talked about a lot of things. And then we waited for HUD to give us some guidance because then everybody started getting nervous because they said, well, Hotma's going to be in effect January 1 of 2024. And that means in October, we start processing ARs with effective dates of January 2024. So October comes and there's no software updates for Trax 203A because we can't figure out how we're going to implement this, much less finish out the spec or get some forms approved. So October comes and people start to get a little nervous. And then HUD decides to issue a memo. So they issued Housing Notice 2023-10, which is
113 pages.
it's a doozy. But it is the HOTMA implementation guidance. The guidance doesn't really give us guidance for when it's going to roll out.
Well, and also too, I want to make something real clear, and I want to just verify with Janelle because sometimes I hear things the wrong way. This is HOTMA for HUD properties.
Mm,
You need to wait on your agencies to
correct.
get guidance
Correct.
from them for your other programs. So I just want to be real clear on that. We're talking HUD properties only right now.
You are correct. So Public and Indian Housing had already released their own guidance. We were waiting on multifamily to release theirs. And then the poor tax credit people, you guys are just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens. And same with rural
Yeah.
housing as well. So
Actually, they're probably sitting over there going, ha 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 ha.
they HOTMA. But anyway, not a lot in the guide. It did clarify some things, but in terms of a timeline, which is what everybody's like, just give us a timeline. So here's where we are. HOTMA officially goes into effect January 1, 2024. No change there. What does change is you're not going to be held to compliance of HOTMA until January 1 of 2025. which means we have more time to get this implemented. And I know there was a lot of genuine concern in the industry going, this is a lot of change. I have a lot of training that needs to happen. There were software changes. There are things that aren't in the software that are changing. Um, so a lot of concern. We know that trainings started back in, I want to say April, May of this year.
Yeah,
Just getting people aware of what's going on, what's changing so that they knew what to expect.
and then
So
they changed it.
in that. So back to our timeline. January 1, 2024, HOTMA goes into effect. Technically. What the guidance says is that by the end of May 2024, there are things that need to be updated. That is your deadline to update your EIV policies and your tenant selection plans and some other things like that.
That's May?
However, March,
Okay.
March. Um, However, some things have come out afterwards that said, well, you can't really update some of these things because it has to coincide with your software changes. So everybody goes, okay, great. So October of 2024, you start processing those January 2025 ARs. So we know by October 1, when you do that, you need your software changes in place. So you have all the rules, all the good stuff. And then HOTMA officially goes into effect, like I said, January 1, 2025. Officially again after the 24 implementation. But the compliance, you're being held to the compliance standard January 1, 2025. So, when does the contract administrator and the site software updates come out?
That's a big mystery, right? We
Nobody
don't really
knows.
know.
Nobody knows.
We don't know.
Nobody knows. There's also some things that are going on, or rather not going on, with the tracks working group. So the vendors are meeting together on their own to try to coordinate as best we can because we know that the contract administrator software has to be live and be available before sites can make their updates and start submitting in 203A. Contract administrators have to be able to receive that. So we're doing our best to work on our own implementation guideline amongst the vendors. Just knowing that it all has to be out. You guys need to be on the new version by October 1 of 2024.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys probably use 1 or 2 software providers, but there's a lot of software providers out there that all has to be on the same page. It's all gotta be tested, and it's all gotta be ready to go. So, it's a really big undertaking.
Yeah. And if you'll recall, not all of the Tracks 203A changes are related to HOTMA. So you have all of those RAD changes, which is probably half of 203A, to be honest. Um, and it's going to take some time to implement that. Again, you've got to get training on HOTMA, you've got to get training on 203A. You have things to do outside of your software. And then we've got to get the software updated. So, as we always tell you guys, just stay tuned. We'll share what we know with you. If you're using a different software vendor, they will share that with their customers as well. Watch for our webinars, watch for blog updates, watch for notifications in your product.
Watch for our LinkedIn post because
Yes, that
I
too.
tend to, as soon as people that I trust make a post out there on LinkedIn, if it's something that we haven't shared out yet, I will share everything from that as well. So
Yep.
if you're not following me on LinkedIn or Janelle on LinkedIn, be sure you follow us because we also try to communicate a lot via that platform.
Yep. Um, But, back to training, there are still things that are set. The spec isn't final, but I would say probably 90% of it is. We are still waiting on forms.
I was about to say forms. We've been waiting
I
on forms for
mean,
10 years.
probably. So we're still waiting on forms. Your 59, your 59A. Um, there has been some discussion about a potential different certification type and then what that impact has on forms. Stay tuned on that one. Your model leases need to be updated. There are lots of things that need to be updated in order for this to roll out. So um, again, stay tuned. We'll do our best. I know that several of the industry associations speak regularly with people at HUD. The staff there, I know that there was staff that was at NAMA. The associations share the concerns of their members. HUD listens to that, but we're We're still pushing hard to get this done and get whatever guidance we can from them, but they basically have kinda said, "Here's your deadline, figure out your implementation schedule." So again, the vendors are working together on this because we know this is a big deal for the industry. Yeah, if you didn't pause earlier to go make a cocktail, you probably need one now. So, all right, with that, let's talk about some legislative things that are happening that we've heard about at some of our conferences. So, we've talked previously about the Renters Bill of Rights,
Mhm.
still a discussion topic. One of the things that we've talked about with HUD is that the HUD residents already have the best protections in place. It's part of the guidance that comes with the programs and the guidance on how the owner agents can operate. And so, really, the way that we hear the industry associations talk about this is about expanding those protections to other areas, specifically market rate properties and renters. So, the topics that we talk about frequently or talked about at NAMA included the recent HUD notice addressing a ban on junk fees. There's still a lot of talk about junk fees, what exactly those are, what you can charge, what you can't charge, as well as some pending guidance on tenant screening, including the use of criminal records and credit information. So, watch for that. I think that's going to be the biggest legislative thing that's going to impact the industry when we get some final guidance on that.
I think so too.
Yeah. A couple of other legislative things.
Can I interrupt really quick
Sure.
though? I mean, these things that we're talking about are really big things, and again, I know that we always plug the associations during our podcast, but if you're not a part of NAMA, or if you're not a part of NMHC, or you're not a part of CAR, get out there and look at it. Join your local AMA. Do something, because this is the associations that lobby for you, and so there's definitely value there. They lobby on all of your behalf, so
Yeah,
just wanted to say some
absolutely.
good things about our association friends.
Absolutely, and when you're a member, they also send information out to all of their members. I know we get regular,
Mhm.
communication from NAMA in particular, as well as CAR, um, and they tend to host member calls. I know NAMA's done that quite frequently, wanting to know what's going on, giving updates as they get them, particularly from, um, the people in charge of government affairs. So they pass that information on to their members as well. So lots of reasons to join an association, lots of membership benefits. Alrighty, looking at some other legislative items, broadband deployment was something that has been mentioned as well. So not only did HUD release a housing notice about HOTMA implementation guidelines in October, they also issued a press release on October 23rd announcing the expansion of the Connect Home USA initiative with the intention of bridging the digital divide for HUD assisted families. This is really the first time since 2020 that HUD has accepted new communities into this initiative to put in place key elements of a digital inclusion program. So, working hard to bring broadband internet to their properties. Housing stability and supply is always something that is mentioned at these events. And there were three programs in particular that were discussed. These are within the American Rescue Plan. So there is the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, the Homeowner Assistance Fund, and the state and local fiscal recovery funds. And the intent of all of these is to support families by providing much needed resources to keep them in safe, stable, healthy homes in thriving communities. These are at the center of the Department of Treasury's efforts to support renters and homeowners as part of the economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Energy and environmental rules. We talk a lot about greenhousing. I know that there was a session or two on green housing at NAMA. And again, very busy in October. On October 19th, the Biden administration announced awards of more than $100 million from HUD through the Inflation Reduction Act. That was the largest investment in clean energy and climate action ever. And the intention there is to help renovate the homes of more than 1,500 low income families to be zero energy and climate resilient. So, there's funds available to do some energy saving renovations at these HUD properties. So you might want to look into that. Then also, the Department of Treasury and the Department of Energy open applications for the Low Income Communities Bonus Credit Program. which is supposed to spur up to 1.8 gigawatts of clean energy investments annually in underserved communities. So, for our tax credit friends, there's your funding for green housing. All right. So, that was the bulk of the legislative issues. I
I
think
keep sitting here wondering where I was when she was in all these meetings. I think I have been to so many places and so many shows and so many conferences. I think that I must have taken a nap or something.
you didn't take a nap. You were probably busy networking.
Probably.
Mhm. I think you were in some of those sessions
I
with me,
I'm
though.
sure I was in some of those
Maybe you
sessions.
were multitasking. It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen. She might have been finding cocktail recipes on TikTok for all we know. I have to go back and check the date stamp on uh on those things you sent me. But Rue was there, I promise.
I don't watch TikTok during those sessions. She just likes to act like I do.
I know. She focuses. That was in case your boss was listening about the mocktails. She totally pays attention in all of those sessions. 100%. She sits right next to me, unless she's networking. And by networking, I mean talking with clients
Yes.
and prospective clients,
Yes.
because that's what she does while I take notes in the sessions.
Yeah. Then she comes back and tells me all that she learned.
While we have a cocktail. Yeah. Okay. So the other big topic at NAMA, and we've heard it other places too, and we've been hearing this all year long, is insurance.
Ooh,
I feel like maybe that should have been our drinking game.
that should have been our
It could have
drinking
been our
game. It could
NAMA
have
drinking
been. Yeah,
game.
for
Whew.
sure.
Yeah. So, lots of things going on with people struggling to get insurance or seeing some considerable increases to their premiums. So, this got mentioned in at least a couple of panel discussions. I know it got mentioned in like the Federal Affairs, Regulatory Affairs Committee, and then it was also um, a topic for the affiliate panel, the affiliate breakfast.
And pretty much everywhere everybody sat down at lunch or for cocktails or for dinner, it was the huge hot topic.
Yep. Yep. So, flurry of activity going on here as well. So, the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs held a hearing on September 7th. They had industry stakeholders come and speak to them to talk about the challenges with insurance. And then, not to be outdone, then the House Finance Service Committee, which is a subcommittee on housing and insurance, they held a hearing on October 24th because they wanted to hear firsthand what was going on as well. So, there was an industry survey conducted by NDP Analytics and commissioned by NLHA, again, another one of those associations that does a lot of lobbying on behalf of their members. That survey found that nearly 1 in 3 policies had rate increases of 25% or more. And if you thought that was staggering, you should have heard the NAMA member who stood up and said, well, I had a 400% increase. So it is crazy what is going on with insurance. So we did hear throughout these presentations that what is having the biggest impact is claims from natural disasters. And you think, well, okay, well, we've had hurricanes before. But if you think about areas
We
where
had
the
a lot.
hurricanes, we have had a lot. But if you think about the areas where the hurricanes have hit, they are more densely populated now than they have been 5, 10 years
Mhm.
ago. And so the damage is much higher now when those do hit. So um, I think the best thing about that panel is it's always one thing to commiserate, right? Oh, my insurance premiums went up and it's terrible, right? And so, people saying, was it happening in this part of the country? Is it happening to other areas? But what I loved about the panel breakfast was this was a group of insurance providers who said, we know it's bad. Don't shoot the messenger. It comes from 4 major carriers who drive all of this. We're just your brokers, but they did leave them with some tips and some actions that they could take to help with this. By the way, they also said insurance challenges are having an impact on the housing shortage because if you can't get your insurance and you can't rehab after a disaster and stuff, then there goes some supply. All right, so actions you can take now. They strongly recommend that you start working with your insurance broker before it's time to renew your policy to negotiate deductibles and explain any losses or claims that you've had in the last year. They're like, we see it, but if you can give us some more context as to what is happening, Why did it happen? And more importantly, what have you done if you could, natural disasters obviously excluded from this, but what have you done to prevent any future claims? So, they said there are items that you can install to reduce insurance costs. They said the number one item, do you remember?
I know because we have a friend that has a business, auto out, so it's the stovetop fire
Suppressors.
detection
Yep.
suppression
Yep.
systems.
Yep. That is the number one item that you can install to reduce your insurance costs. The second thing they mentioned were water sensors. They talk about water leaks. So if you can install sensors to detect those early on, before it gets out of hand, the last thing you want to do is realize you have a leak when you walk into a room with, 3 inches of water. Um, and then the other thing has to do with more, I think, crime and safety. And they said cameras, electronic fences, and license plate readers to install those. And they said, don't just do it, tell your insurance broker that you did it, right? It's one thing to have it, but doesn't help your insurance if you don't tell your broker that you did it.
Well,
So
and look, I know, all of that is expensive technology,
it
but,
is,
you know, I
but
think
so are claims.
as expensive as insurance has gotten today and the claims, I think that that's probably a really good thing for everybody to look into.
Yep, I agree. I agree. All right. So this next section, I'm gonna call this my lightning round.
No.
It's my conference lightning round of hot topics.
Ooh.
So again, sitting next to Rue as she's paying very close attention during these sessions, but I was the one taking notes. So she remembers she's just slept since then.
I think the last time we were actually in studio was in the spring
I
because
think you're
everything
right.
else that we've done has been at a conference and live.
That's true.
Hey, who wants us at their conference to be live? We love doing this live.
She's not wrong. We do. And I can I just say the best part of that is people go, "Oh, you're doing this live cocktails and compliance podcast. Is there really a cocktail?" Hello? Yes. Yes. You can't have cocktails and compliance without cocktails. Tell your boss that, by the way, when he
Right.
suggests a
It's not
mocktail
mocktails
again.
in compliance.
Good Lord. No, it is not mocktails and compliance. And people ask us, well, what if you have a morning session? Are you having a mocktail? Hello, people, mimosas, Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, that's tomato juice and orange juice right there.
I know these are breakfast foods.
Also, it
So,
may be one of the reasons people like to have us do live sessions because we do have cocktails at our live ones.
yeah, we do. Um, Also, while we're going down this little rabbit hole, can I just say that people who get scheduled at the same time slot as us, those are some haters because they watch the table of cocktails get wheeled down the hall and into the meeting room, and they're like, "What is that?" Because no surprise, it's followed by a trail of people going, "Where is that going? What session is this?" That sounds amazing. We would love to sit here and have a cocktail and listen to Rue and Janelle and their fabulous guests. So,
We get people that probably aren't even in the industry in our
oh, we
sessions.
100% get people that are like, they probably aren't even with the conference. They're just following the bar cart. They're like,
Exactly.
we like whatever you're doing. Sign us up. We would like some affordable housing, please. So, yeah. Anyway, all that to say, we're good. Morning session, afternoon session, we got you covered. Got you covered. Okay. Conference lightning round hot topics. You ready?
Go.
All right. Inspire. Who doesn't love some Inspire?
Ooh, a lot of people, I think.
Well, it depends because for those of you that missed the last podcast, and I will say we had a little technical difficulty, so we missed we missed the part on Inspire. But the funniest part, and I shouldn't say it's funny, but it was funny. Also, we were drinking, but it was funny. One half of the room had horror stories. Other half of the room was like, I don't know where you people live or work, but it's working great for us. We get timely responses. We're getting great scores. Other half was like, I can't get my results.
I had my
I have no
inspection
idea
done
what's
2 years
going
ago.
on.
Just kidding, not
I'm
2 years, but
like 6 months though. They're like, I don't have my scores back yet. I don't understand. So I'm like, wherever you people have properties, go get more properties there. Whatever's going on with this group over here sucks to be you. I'm sorry. But anyway, I thought it was funny that it was vastly different, but it was so polarizing
yeah,
in the
it
room.
was really and the interesting thing is at our conference, it wasn't a national conference, it was a regional conference, so,
That's true.
it's a concentrated area, and there was different stories from everybody. It was amazing.
Yeah. But again, the stories were very consistent depending on which
That's
side of the
right.
room you were sitting on, which was funny to me. Anyway, all right. So Inspire, it's here. It's here to stay. It's replacing React. Bye bye, React. Hello, Inspire. So the focus now is on the HUD implementation of Inspire.
Hope they implement that faster than they get HOTMA and tracks done.
Oh, she said it.
I
Okay.
did. I said
She
it.
said it. She said it. Okay. 100% it's going to go
I
faster
know it is.
because it's here.
I know.
All right. So while we had some HUD staff in the room, some of the members said, "Hey, could it'd be kind of nice if we had some consistency amongst HUD and tax credit and rural development. Could
Ain't
we
gonna
all?"
happen.
I mean, you never know. Don't say never. Well, you said ain't. It's not
I
really
said
never. It's
I
kind
said
of close,
pretty
but
much not gonna happen.
yeah. So the official response from HUD was, "Well, we have conversations with the other agencies, but we can't compel them to use it." So back to what Rue said,
Not probably gonna
probably
happen.
not. Yeah. So and then some NAMA members did speak up, and this was in October, and they were like, "Hey, I had an inspection in July. I still don't have any scores." And what we were told, and this is where we talk about technology being wonderful, they were told the inspectors couldn't get the inspections loaded to the new national system.
Brand
Yeah,
new technology.
that's all right. That's all right. Um, and then there were also some concerns raised about scheduling and the fact that there's very, very little flexibility in scheduling. Because if you think about it, you probably want your regional on staff. There's probably a number of people that you want on site when an inspection happens. And one member had 3 site inspections scheduled in the same city on the same date. And he's like, I have some people that need to be at these, and they were like, "Here's your dates." So no flexibility there.
Yeah, they're not playing very nice right now for sure. I mean, they're not.
I mean, there should probably be some more flexibility. So,
I mean, I like the people at HUD, but,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I feel bad for our owner agents.
it's tough. Rolling out something new is always tough. All right, that was Inspire. One thing that was new that came up that I hadn't heard before as we were talking about um, shortages of housing was senior housing. That it is very difficult to get new deals done because when you're scoring those deals, they don't score as high as family projects. And so there is a growing concern now over the shortage of senior housing.
Wow.
I know. Well, and if you think about the population
Right.
and the boomers, the number of boomers that there
Yeah.
are out there, they need housing.
Yeah,
And
they
so the
do.
thought that there's not enough is concerning
It is. We've gotta figure out how to get more housing for seniors for sure.
for sure. Um,
At the same time, plenty of family housing as well, because
yes,
those littles gotta have a place to put their little heads too.
the littles need a place too. Agreed. Um, okay, then MORs came up because can't have a HUD panel without talking about MORs. So right now, HUD is working on streamlining the timing and adopting similar schedules across their own programs. They said that only 4 to 5% of properties are rated as troubled and are getting annual visits. So if you remember the new guidance that came
Yeah.
out, your timing of your MORs, how the frequency I should say, is based on your rating. So the other thing that they're doing is working on establishing baselines based on the MOR score that took place after 2022 plus the risk rating. So that's what's going on with MORs. Good to know, though, that if you think about the entire HUD portfolio for only 4 to 5% to be troubled properties, that's a pretty small number if you think
It's a
about
pretty small number, and I
the
was
number of
actually thinking
properties.
about it when you said that because I feel like, we're always hearing somebody grumbling about their scores. So, um, that's really great news.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was really encouraging. We also had some of our performance-based contract administrator friends at some of these conferences, and for them, it's always interesting to see what is going to happen with that program, because we know that oh goodness, Rue, I'm thinking back of where we worked like a couple of times ago,
Yeah.
in our past lives
Yeah.
that we were waiting on a rebid.
I mean, it's been like look, I'm just gonna say it, it's been as long as Tracks 203A. I mean, like, I'm telling you, at least 10 years.
Yeah,
At
I was
least 10
actually just
years.
doing the math, yeah, because I was thinking about where we were
I left
when
been 11, 13 years. No, 11
yeah, it was
years.
around
Yeah,
2012, I think, is
yeah.
when, you and I were super focused on that section of the
Mhm,
market
mhm.
and going, "Man, we need to get this rebid done so we know how this is all gonna shake out," and here we are,
Here we are.
still waiting,
Still waiting on the rebid, still
still
waiting
waiting.
on 203A.
Yeah. I'm, like, 3 companies later from that point. Still
2.
yeah, so anyhow, so the PVCA program, what's going on? So HUD said they are awaiting legislative action to allow the program to function as is with some improvement. So they're wanting to make sure they're dotting I's, crossing T's with the procurement process because that has been the sticking point. And I know at another conference, I want to say it was about a year ago when we were no surprise talking about the same topic. HUD said, "Look, we're going to put it out there, and then we're just going to wait for the lawsuit because we know that it's going to come. Somebody's not going to like the way that we're doing it. So what they're waiting on now is just to try to keep it as is, some improvement." And HUD was very clear though that they have no capacity to bring this work back in house. So they are
I mean, big
big
shocker there.
fans of the PBCA program. They understand the importance of it. We are familiar with, gosh, most of the PBCAs across the country. We know that they do
We
great
are also
work.
big fans of the PBCAs
Yeah,
out there.
we are as well. We know they do great work, and we just want to make sure that they're able to keep that program in place and let those people who are doing really, really well at that continue to do what they do.
You know what I'm ready for is to get all of this stuff done so we can have some new topics to talk about. I mean,
Yeah,
what are we gonna do?
I'm sure there will be something new.
Play
Something new.
hopscotch or something.
I don't know. In the meantime, kind of like job security.
True story.
Well,
Uh-huh.
mhm. Have no fear. We'll be doing this for some time. So, all right. So new. You asked for something new. Okay,
Look
so
at
this
that.
is.
See there?
Oh my God, she's not even reading off my notes. This is so in sync. So new topic that came up at NAMA that we had not previously heard a lot about was fraud detection.
Bum, bum, bum.
New stuff. So NAMA members noted they are seeing an increase in fraudulent documents that are submitted by applicants. And they talked about really spending a lot of time training their staffs, going, okay, some of them even admitted to maybe uh, searching online for what a fraudulent document might look like. Look, you gotta train people somehow. So they're like, "Here's the fraudulent document. Here's what to look for." And then as soon as they get their staff trained, the technology changes, um, and the documents improve along with those technology changes, then you gotta train your staff all over again. So,
Shameless resume plug.
you can do it. I was waiting for it. I queued you up.
I
Let's
know
go.
I've been waiting to do this all day because I haven't been able to do resume plugs. Um, we have a fraud detection product now. And I actually sat in on a very interesting call with some highly respected industry individuals. And what I learned was very enlightening. You know, you think about fraud, and I'm sure this is nothing that you guys don't know, but when we think about fraud being a software provider, we deal with all of the types of properties in the industry. And we think about people lying on their income and having fraudulent check stubs to look like they make more money than they do. And of course, I was in a conversation and what we see is people telling stories about their income to make less money. However, what is actually more prevalent out there right now that we feel is identity fraud. So, I would be really, really, really interested to get some feedback from you guys. Shoot me a little note on LinkedIn. Tell me what's going on with you. It is a really, really hot topic. There was a fantastic panel of industry experts
Mhm.
at NAMA. Um, There is so much going on out there, so let us know let us know what you're seeing. Let us know if you're using some type of a fraud detection product and, because we're learning about it for affordable housing right now as well. So, looking to see if what we have is beneficial for the industry. Don't really know yet because it's a really untried product as far as affordable housing goes. So, um, anybody want to have a conversation about that? Let me know, and we can talk about it. So, anyway, I'm really excited about it for everybody. I had no idea that I could actually literally pay about $250 and get a whole new identity, not just fake check stubs.
That is
That's
scary.
insane to me.
That is
I know.
that's pretty
It's
scary.
crazy.
It's pretty scary. It's shocking to me how much fraudulent activity there is, and so it's very expensive, uh, to undo it once somebody is moved into your property for those reasons, and so, or moved in and shouldn't. So, um, something to keep an eye on. Make sure your staff is trained. Um, okay. There's always conversations about rents, like rent amounts, interest rates, things like that as you look at what's going on in the economy. And someone said, well, part of the affordability crisis is being driven by rents, and they talked about in the Northeast in particular. They said the sites can't keep up with the rents based on the AMIs, so they are really there's a lot of properties really struggling. I mean, it. I know that people are still having trouble collecting rents. In some cases, they're still having trouble with evictions. And then to not be able to set the rent where you need to set it is troubling. And then if you switch over to interest rates, this is really slowing down acquisitions for some companies. And we know that we talked to others who said, we're just watching for sites who are going to default as balloon payments come due. We're waiting to swoop in and snatch up these properties. But there's not a lot of acquisitions going on, and I know we've been tracking this as a company over the year. We've watched it go up, it's come down, it's gone back up, it's gone back down. And so what we're hearing is there are people that are wanting to acquire new properties, whether
Yeah.
it's new construction or simply just acquiring. I think the activity will pick up in Q1 from what we're hearing, maybe even end of Q1. And then, of course, the next thing we'll be talking about next year is it's an election year. And so, what does that do to um, companies in terms of, how are they going to forecast risk? What are they going to think? Are they going to act? Are they going to wait? It'd be interesting to see.
But there definitely is money out there for acquisitions because we've
Absolutely.
had friends ask us if we hear anything about any properties looking to be acquired to let them know.
Yep.
So there is definitely money out there. They're just being really careful about where they put it.
Yep. Yep, they are. And so along with that, we've mentioned this a couple times already today, housing supply. So HUD said there's a need both for production and preservation. So everyone recognizes that it's a problem, right? We need more supply. They said that they're starting to see lower rent inflation, but that the market is still very tight. So again, hoping some of that frees up, that people start to feel a little bit more comfortable about interest rates and start doing some more transactions. So,
It's interesting too because I'm gonna take a bet that some of our listeners have a conventional portfolio as well as an
mhm,
affordable portfolio because most people do have mixed
mhm,
portfolios out there in the industry today. And we are definitely starting to see concessions in a lot of the big markets. Dallas, I think I just read an article, Dallas, New York City, and I can't remember the third city, but they were the three biggest concession markets in the country right now.
well,
So,
and I know you told me not too long ago, even the property that you live in was offering concessions for the first time in a really
yeah,
long time.
yeah.
So,
So it's very interesting out there across the market right now. And the number of new units coming on or that have recently come online is amazing.
yeah, and again, that's an article I think you and I talked about. Just they mentioned Dallas in particular that there's more supply than they thought there was going to be. Like which it surprises me and it doesn't because I know for a while new construction was stalled for a lot of reasons. We talked about supply chain issues and things like that, but I can't drive down a street anywhere
No,
without seeing some new construction going on, and
exactly.
there's always new apartments coming online. So
Well, and we hope, we hope for the housing crisis, for the affordable housing crisis, we hope that some of that supply is low income housing tax credits.
yep,
So,
yep, agreed. All right, so I'm going to wrap up our lightning round with the predominant theme at OpTech, which was AI. Every stinking session.
are you scared of it? Do you think they're gonna take over the world? Because, man, I tell you what, if the wrong people get a hold of that AI, it could be a little scary.
Well, so it's interesting. So there, like I said, every single session talked about AI, whether it's from a marketing and leasing perspective, from a maintenance perspective, um, if it's a, hey, can I use an AI tool and reduce staff, or, whatever the case may be. But there were experts in AI who spoke at a couple of these different sessions. I mean, they even had somebody there from MIT, and it was fascinating listening to him speak. But one of the panelists talked about ethics, and he said we can't talk about AI without talking about ethics. And so I think while yes, there are some people that have concerns, you have a whole nother group
Right.
that's really watching what's going on, and they're saying, let's watch what happens from a legislative perspective. Let's see what happens with courts and lawsuits and all that goodness. But there's a lot of focus on ethics and getting it right. So the other thing that I thought was super interesting as I sat through those sessions is you could ask everybody in that room what AI is, and you would
Oh,
get a different answer.
that's almost the same as BI, right? You
Almost,
can
yeah.
ask everybody
Yeah.
in the room what is business intelligence, and
Right,
everybody has a different idea of what it is.
right. But what was somewhat disturbing listening to some of the content is people would give examples of things that are like, "Oh, this is wonderful. We're using AI for this." And I'm like, "It's not AI, it's automation." So there was a lot of confusion between AI and automation. Someone even said, "Well, we use AI to determine, what our tenant rent should be based on their program type and their income and all these inputs." I'm like, "That's automation, and we've had that coded in software for a really long time. It's not AI." So AI is tech that learns through example, and by example, we mean data. So it gets smarter the more data it consumes. It gets more predictive. There was a lot of talk about predictive analytics. So that's AI, not automation. So that was really interesting. But I will say everyone is incorporating AI somehow, some way in some of their products where it makes sense. Some providers were very quick to market, others um, are taking a more cautious approach and going, let's see what happens. The technology is already changing. So in some cases, when you've delayed maybe your AI projects a little bit, you kind of end up ahead because you're not having to recode what you already did. You're able to take advantage of more recent technology. So what I would say, from a Resman perspective, as well as our sister company, Anyone Home, watch your release notes, watch for press releases from us, and we will keep you up to date on what we are doing in the wonderful world of AI. So,
Okay, you said that's the end of your lightning round,
mhm.
but, and I can't read your talking points from over here, but, I mean, I we gotta talk about centralization again,
You know what, Rue? That's a good point because that did come up at OpTech as well.
and it's different this time.
It is
It's
different.
different. This is about reducing staff and cutting headcount.
Yeah, before it was about just being efficient, and
Yeah,
now it is we've got
it's
to cut
different.
costs.
Yep.
Yeah, so and thank you for bringing that up. But, that was if you think about, what's happening in the industry and you think about a market outlook and things like that. So, our friend Elizabeth, said this, and she's been hearing it. The theme next year is survive till 25
Oh,
is what we've been hearing, and then thrive in 25, but survive through 25. Um, it's gonna be a tough year.
Yeah, it is.
Everything we're hearing, it's gonna be a tough year. Everyone is looking to maximize their revenue. Not that you don't always want to, but next year in particular, it's gonna be important. How do I maximize revenue? How do I squeeze every little bit out of what I'm getting? How do I be more efficient? How do I
Reduce
cut my
expenses. Yeah.
costs? How do I reduce expenses? And it's not just our industry; it's every industry that's facing it. If you read,
Right.
um, you know, different things on
It's
LinkedIn
not
and
even just industries. It's us, right? How
I
do
would
I
like
cut my
I would like to
costs?
survive till
I
25 as well. Um,
How do I become less expensive?
we could talk about that offline. That's gonna take some work. Uh, but to Bruce's point, it is and it's how do I even collect my rent? It's not the collections after the move out process even, right? It's how do I get my renters to pay on time? And if you think about it, there's so they're so relying on that. They've got to pay mortgages and
Right.
payroll and utilities and then all their vendors and, all the things, right? So it's how are they maximizing revenue? Centralization came up quite a bit. But you're right. The focus has shifted. It is now
Yeah, it's a very different conversation.
yeah. And there was a lot of talk about offshoring back office task as well. Lots of accounting functions going to offshore companies. So yeah, people are looking for how do you get through it? How do you
Right.
just ride this out,
Right.
until we get more tailwinds? So,
Hang on, everybody,
hang
hang on.
on, hang on.
Better days are coming.
They are. We're gonna survive till 25. So, all right. With that, let's talk about upcoming events and where can you
Oh,
find us? Because we don't stay down for long. So we are home for the holidays, which is nice.
it's driving me crazy. Somebody get
Well,
a trade show in December, please.
no. I say we're home for the holidays. I'm actually traveling all next week, but it's
I
not trade
travel next
shows.
week.
Oh, that's right. You do too, because you just got that bonus trip that
Yeah.
happened yesterday. So yay. All right. So just kidding. We're not home.
No.
We're both gone next week. And if you're looking for us, maybe try an airport. But Q1, it gets busy again. So January, and I'm very sad about this because I can't be on both coasts at the same time. But Rue will be at the CAR mid-year meeting. That is January 29th through 31st in Charleston, South Carolina. I am ridiculously sad
I
that I
am
am
so
going to
excited
miss
because I've
this.
never been to Charleston, so I can't wait.
And I want to go back, and it's a foodie city. And I just watched some Chef Table
Right.
Barbecue episode, and there's a restaurant I really, really want to go to. And now she's going to go and she's going to send me pictures, and I'm going to be jealous.
That's
Having
what
said
happens
that,
when you take people to my favorite bar in DC and I'm not there, so
oh, she's still
payback,
bitter. All
payback,
right, she's still bitter. Okay, but while she's there, I will be over in San Diego on the other side of the country at
which is also amazing.
I mean, it doesn't suck, right?
Right.
Especially in January.
Right.
So I will be at the NMHC Women's Event and Apartments Strategies Conference. So we will have lots to talk about after those. So look for a new podcast probably in February would be my guess.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe I say that, but then NAMA is early this year.
Right.
It
So
is
we may
March 6th through 8th in Washington, D.C. So we may wait. So we've
maybe
got extra.
mid-March. We'll see.
Yeah. But somewhere in Q1, you'll be getting a new podcast from us. And then I'm super excited in April 24th through 26th, San Antonio,
Yay!
Texas, TAA1 conference. Guess who's doing a live podcast? That would be us. So we are super
We are
excited,
really excited and honored.
very honored. So we're continuing the trend of some live podcasts, bringing that to lots of locations near you. Speaking of live podcasts, then in May we'll be doing that again, but that'll be at Resmania.
Yes.
Yay! Yay!
Yay!
Yay! So Resmania is May 20th through 23rd. We are back one last time at the Renaissance Plano Legacy West. Please note I said one last time.
I know
So
I was about to say, is that inappropriate to cheer?
no, it's
I mean,
just
I love Plano
we
and I
love
love the
it.
legacy. I'm just ready
It's
to I'm
beautiful,
just
but
ready to
I'm just saying one
change
last time. So
locations.
if you
Yeah.
haven't been to that one, you need to
That's
show
right.
up because then we're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know where yet, but we're going. I have a list.
There
Anyway,
might be a golf tournament gonna happen.
I was going to say, so it is our third time in this location, but we're mixing it up for you. So here's what we've done. we have reformatted our conference agenda. So on Monday, as Rue just said, there will be a golf tournament in the morning. And we have moved our training sessions from Thursday morning to Monday afternoon, and we have expanded those. I am so excited we were able to work this out. So typically we've had 9 training sessions on that day. We now have expanded that to 16 training sessions. So I've been working with the marketing team and Elizabeth Francisco on content and working with our training department, support department, and we are so excited about this content. It is posted on our Resmania website if you want to go and check that out. And also, listening to feedback from our clients, we have now labeled those sessions as beginner, intermediate, or advanced to give you a better idea of, who needs to be in those and the depth of the content. So
And it covers a lot of different tracks. So
it
it's all of the
does.
tracks of the conference. There is a training session
It,
to
it
touch on it
it
on Monday.
does. There's a lot of new stuff. It is all hands on. It is bring your own device. It is truly hands on training. 16 sessions. Check that out. So that is Monday. We have made a change on Tuesday and Wednesday. All of our general sessions will now be in the morning. All the breakout sessions in the afternoon. And then, what would a conference be without some fabulous evening events? Which will all be off site this year. So, super excited about that. I know I got to do some venue scouting and cannot wait until we announce all of that. We also have a fabulous guest speaker. So, go look on our website for that. Early bird registration is open now, but it won't be open for long. So, go check that out. And we hope to see you there where we're doing another live broadcast.
That's right.
Yay! Another live cocktails and compliance. So, as Rue said, if you are not connected with us on LinkedIn, please do so. We post things as we see it, whether it's updates on where we are or things that we're hearing that are going on in the industry, particularly any updates on implementation of Tracks 203 and HOTMA. We'll be posting that on LinkedIn as well as some other areas. You can find Cocktails and Compliance powered by Prop Talk on Spotify, Apple, or anywhere that you go for podcasts. And we thank you for joining us. I hope you made this wonderful cocktail. Shout out to Rue for sending that recipe. That was
Yay!
delicious. Can't wait to finish this up. And thanks for joining us. Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.